republic for which it stands.
One nation, under God.
Indivisible.
With liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, concealed carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the war room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Echols.
And I am back. Once again, I am tucked away in the war room somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho. And I had plans to have some other guys join me this evening, but sometimes stuff doesn't work out like it should. Not a big deal. The guys all had family stuff going on, and we had a kind of a weird, nasty, like snowstorm. It wasn't even that bad, really, but the wind's starting to blow now, and I would imagine that my driveway is getting drifted shut. So it's one of those late Idaho storms that might be a little worse than what we thought. I certainly hope not, but I am here myself, and so hopefully I tried to make sure I was organized so I don't bore you guys, so I can kind of keep my thoughts straight. And I've got a list of things that we shall be talking about this evening, and I think I will start with this, and we'll give this a whirl here.
Second element is seeing what you need to see, and this is where the focal...
Keep and preserve the same wrist angle.
Recoil is going to follow the line of the barrel and the action.
I bring it to the target, I can see it, I can feel it,
The secret is to never lose track of where the...
See the red dot exist at that same focal plane, so I don't have to...
Gun and the target.
And so what you just listened to is actually the introduction video to a place where I went and took a class over the last, it was for 3 days. I was down there for 5 days. It was a place called the Tactical Performance Center, and they're based out of, I got my paperwork here. They're based out of St. George, Utah, and I took the class down in... it was Littlefield, Arizona. I stayed in Mesquite, Nevada, and it was a fantastic class. And, you know, I've talked to a few people, and they asked me, you know, why did you go take a class? In fact, Mark was, let me do this here. Mark was working at the gun counter, and he had some people come up to him and say, "Hey, where's Todd at? He's down in Arizona. Is he teaching a class down there?" And no. Mark said, no, he wasn't teaching a class. He was taking a class, or essentially getting more continuing education. And they were kind of puzzled as to why I was down there taking a class. Maybe they thought I should be teaching the class because I'm an instructor. Well, I just want to point out that maybe not all instructors feel this way, but, you know, more knowledge and continuing your education, is not a bad thing. And I went down there, and because I felt like it had been a little while, I felt like I wanted to take a class and learn some stuff. And they offer a bunch of different classes. The one I took was Handgun Mastery 1, and they do have a Handgun Mastery 2. And I was chomping at the bit to take this Handgun Mastery 1 class, and you know, I knew it would be basic stuff. It's going to talk about the fundamentals and how to, you know, look at the sights and stance and trigger press and all that stuff, right? I mean, I'm thinking, I know this stuff. I know this. I want to get through this class, and then I want to go take Handgun Mastery 2. And it's kind of funny because that's kind of a gripe I have a little bit when you're looking to take classes, that some schools, some instructors will make you actually take the first class, even though you want to take the second class. They'll make you take the first class anyhow, even if stuff you already know, to make it so you are then eligible to take the number 2 class. But, you know, I went in there and I'm thinking, I'm just going to learn the basic stuff. But I went in there with a positive attitude, right? Went in there with a positive attitude, figured I'd learn a new way to teach stuff. I tell you what, I got my eyes opened up quite a little bit. And, you know, I was surprised, and to be honest with you, it was a 3-day class. We shot about 2,000 rounds, and I got to about halfway through that second day, and my mind was absolutely blown. And I was really excited because I was going to get to take that Handgun Mastery 2 class, and I was like, when can I sign up? When can I sign up? When can I sign up? Frankly, they threw so much information at me in 3 days that I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to go take this Handgun Mastery 1 class at least one more time, possibly 2 more times, because it's just, I mean, it was just a fantastic class. And so they did, we'll break it down here. They did, just talk about the fundamentals, right? And they called it core principles. I like the way they worded stuff. They had their own spin on stuff, and they taught what they called how to build a shooting system. And this guy, Ron Avery, who started this, he's actually passed away a couple years ago from cancer. He had set up what he called the science of reactive shooting. And he went in there and he had everything tweaked out. How you do this, how you do that. And they had their own take on things. So when I showed up, I was reluctant, to maybe tell them who I was. Not that I'm anyone special, right? But I didn't want to be known as the guy that comes in going, hey, man, look at me. I'm an instructor. I do what you do. Just get me through this class. I wasn't going to have that attitude, and I didn't want to portray that. But there were 6 people in the class, and beautiful weather, by the way. It was in the mid-60s the entire time. Slight breeze, not a cloud in the sky. It was absolutely beautiful. The first day we went around the room and they just wanted everyone to introduce each other, right? Who are you? Why are you here? Have you taken the class before? That kind of thing. And they got to me and I just said, hey, look, this is who I am. I do have a small, I am an instructor. I have a small, I guess, shooting school. It sounds kind of fancy when I say it that way. I call it an instruction business, handgun instruction business, but I guess it is kind of a school. And this is what I do. Now, I didn't, I didn't talk myself up by any means. And this is what I said. I said, I want to learn. And I already knew because he'd already done a small PowerPoint and talked about all the different things that they teach and their different spin on them. And I wanted to come in there. And I said, hey, look, I already know this stuff, right? I know these fundamentals. I teach these fundamentals every single day. But what I want to do is I want to come in here and I want you to consider me a blank slate. I want to learn how you teach it and how you do it and your little, little quirks with it. What you guys have dialed in. That's what I want to learn. And little did I know that it was going to be a lot different than anything I'd ever been around before. Now, I've taken other classes before. I've taken, Masad Ayub Mag 40 classes and stuff like that. And the way I learned, and even though I talk crap about the NRA, I am an NRA certified instructor, right? So I had to be able to do all this stuff. And so I learned the NRA way. And I'm not saying, in the NRA instruction is a bad thing at all, because it's not, right? They showed me the fundamentals, the stance, everything, right? Showed me how to actually teach students and how to do so and be an effective instructor. They're great things. But I learned the NRA way, right? I can get up there, I can stand up there, and I can place shots, multiple shots repeatedly in the center of the target. I know the stance. I use the isosceles stance. I also teach the Weaver stance, but I know the isosceles stance. And everything I had was good, right? The NRA teaches good stuff, and it works for a lot of people, and there is 100% nothing wrong with it. Well, over here at TPC is what I'm going to call them for short. At TPC, they have their own spin on things, and they adjust your stance just slightly. They adjust the way you hold the gun quite a bit, actually. And their focus is in building a reactive shooting system, right? And they teach you the science behind it. They teach you how to grip the gun properly, how to make it so when you fire that handgun, and it doesn't matter what caliber it is, and it doesn't matter what gun it is, they teach you how to handle, or how to, I'm trying to think of the word, how to grip it correctly, right? The, I want to say, is it kinesiology, kinetics, something to do with the muscles? They teach you how to handle any gun and be able to shoot that thing without it hardly moving. They teach you how to get back on target right away. They teach you how to stiffen your wrists. They teach you everything. They tell you, they get down so far to the nitty gritty. They teach you what muscle groups you should engage and what muscle groups, while you're engaging those muscle groups, what muscle groups not to engage, so you can be a more effective shooter. And There was a lot of different level of shooters in the class. We had one guy he was pretty new, and he knew that going into it. We had some guys that had actually taken the classes a few times. Then you had me, and I was probably somewhere right in the middle, right? And kind of, I want to consider myself more of a beginner because I was kind of like wiping the slate away, right? I know the NRA way. I don't want to think about that. I'm a new person. I want to learn this. And I tell you, by the middle of day 2, they had, and there's the only other, it sounds silly, but the only other phrase that I can come up with is laser beams. They had everyone just shot after shot after shot after shot in the same hole. And we're not talking like take your time bullseye shooting. We're talking quick shooting, quick repeated shooting, multiple target acquisition. I mean, it was simply amazing, the stuff that they taught. I never would have thought that I was going to learn stuff or learn exactly how. Never thought someone would teach me the way they taught me. And it was absolutely fantastic. And they talked about stuff like accepting the recoil. You have to accept the recoil. Don't fight against the recoil. Accept the recoil. Let it flow through your body and around your body, and you'll move less. And they taught you how to do that. I mean, it was absolutely fantastic. And we dove into that for a few days. And then on one of the days we talked about shooting, your sight, how you level out the 4 points, and, your eyes, your rear sight, your front sight, and the target. And they talked about that. And they actually went into the science and explained how your brain picks up the pictures and lines everything up. And how to shoot with 2 eyes open, which I can do. But they explained how you take someone from one who shoots with 1 eye to 2 eyes, and they explain the science of how it works and how you have to train your brain to actually cancel out your weak eye or your non-dominant eye's picture and rely on the dominant eye's picture and put that over into it was absolutely fantastic. I tell you what, they got so deep into the why, and they're big on principles and the why. And that's what I really like. When I'm instructing someone, I need to be able to tell them why we're doing what we're doing, because then it gives me credence, right? I need to let them know that I know what I'm talking about. And that's what it delved into, was the why on absolutely everything. And this is just me, and it sounds kind of silly, right? Coming from my running background, coming from my going to CrossFit and stuff like that. This was like the yoga of the shooting world. That's what this was. I took a yoga shooting class. I mean, essentially that's what it was. It was absolutely fantastic. And let me tell you, they worked us out hard on that gun, and they taught you how to, they totally redid. I'm going to have to totally redo how I grip a firearm now. They had me gripping so hard and gripping that gun so high to be able to control that firearm and the recoil in it, that I ended up with sore spots all over my hands. And if you're on Facebook, which if you're not, you should check me out. If you are on Facebook and you haven't liked the Patriot Defense Facebook page, you definitely should. We're also on Instagram too, under Patriot Defense 13, or at Patriot Defense 13, I believe. I think that's how Instagram does it. But I posted a picture of my hands at the end of the day, at the end of the second day, I believe. I had tape on the trigger fingers. I had tape in the crooks of my hand here, right, and the V around my thumb. My hands were beat up. I didn't get any blisters, but they were sore. They had sore spots on them. It was an absolutely fantastic class. And I am looking forward to, as soon as they come back around, because they kind of travel around all over the country to different ranges and stuff doing these classes. I would absolutely love to be able to hook up with them and take another one of their classes. Their classes were absolutely phenomenal, just absolutely phenomenal. I don't regret taking it all. It was, it was a good chunk of change. It was a good chunk of change in ammo, but I don't regret it at all. I don't. I would spend it. I would spend that money again overnight in a heartbeat, and I plan on doing it. I plan on doing it in the fall. A couple of friends of mine that are interested in taking it, and I will probably take them with me as well. It was just an absolute lot of fun. And I tell you what, I thought, hey, I'm going to Arizona, man. I'll be in the desert. I'll be able to go out and maybe look around a little bit. I'll be able to run some trails, and nope, sun up, sundown, 3 days. I mean, by the time you got done, you were so wore out and you were so tired. All you wanted to do was go back and sleep. And it was interesting. I think I had a one up on someone, on some of the guys, because I'm a little more active, right, than most. And we ended that first day, and I came back the second day, and people are like, "Oh, my back hurts, my shoulders hurt, my forearms hurt, my hands are sore." And I mean, they worked you hard. This wasn't just a go out and shoot this bullseye type of class. It was a phenomenal class, and I would definitely go back again. I want to, and I hate to read stuff on the podcast, but I'm going to read this. It's off their website, and that's it's TPC or Tactical Performance Center. You check it out, man. Give them, check it out. Give them a chance. But I'm going to read this. It's called The Science of Reactive Shooting: Building a Shooting System. It says, a complete shooting system is a set of beliefs, principles, procedures, techniques, and ideas that are grouped together and work together in harmony to create performance. Ideally, it works in a synergistic fashion where the whole performance created is greater than the sum of its contributing parts. And I'm going to tell you that, I go to someone's, I have a website too, but I read my website, I read this website, I read any website. And this all sounds great, man. This all sounds great. And normally, if I hadn't taken this class, I'd read this and go, man, they really know how to lure someone in. I mean, that all sounds absolutely fantastic. They know how to lure you in. This is not fluff, man. This is what they teach. This is what they do. I mean, it's go check them out. tacticalperformancecenter.com, and you can check all their stuff out. They even have some videos up there you can check out, and they got a whole YouTube channel as well. Fantastic stuff. Down here, the last paragraph, it says, shooting well involves a series of coordinated activities, both mental and physical, that must be done in the correct sequence in order to be successful. In order to shoot fast and accurately under pressure, you need a complete set of mental and physical skills, as well as a very detailed picture of how everything works together to contribute to it. And they give you so much information, and that's exactly what they give you. They teach you everything. I mean, and it's, people have asked me before, students have, what do you, we're talking about shooting, and I'm talking about the trigger, and we're out on the range, right? And they get kind of frustrated, and they look at me and they're like, what goes through your mind when you're shooting? Why do you not shake? Why do you not do this? Why? First of all, I do it a lot. Second of all, I tell them, I just kind of blank my mind out and just let everything that I know just kind of take over. And that's exactly what they taught in this class, only so much more. so much more. It's absolutely, it's just a fantastic class. And if you get a chance, I mean, you should hit them up and check it out. It's phenomenal. And like I said, I'm looking to do it again as quickly and as soon as I possibly can. I would say it wasn't a hard class, but it wasn't easy either, right? You got frustrated, and they knew it, and they even talked about it. If you're on the line shooting and you start to get frustrated, stop, make your gun safe, reholster it, and step back for a little while. And the hardest part for me was when I started struggling doing what they wanted me to, and doing it their way, I would revert back to my way. And the instructor would walk behind me, and he'd know and he'd see, and I got lots of stuff, and I know better than this, right? But he got saying stuff like, "Quit slapping the shit out of the trigger! You're slapping the shit out of that trigger." And I just have to stop. I get frustrated because I so badly wanted to revert back to what I knew, but I wanted to learn their stuff, and it would frustrate me, and I'd have to stop for a minute, and I'd have to just kind of walk away and come back, because as soon as you get frustrated, your performance on the range, it goes down. It's like you get frustrated and everything just kind of radiates through you, from your brain, through your arms, out to your hands, out to the gun, and then nothing works well after that. We didn't learn about muscle memory. We learned about neural pathways and how to build up those neural pathways. They dove deep, and it was, like I said, I keep repeating it. I sound like a broken record, but it was an absolutely fantastic class, and I really, really enjoyed it. And who knows, if I find another one coming up in the area in the fall, maybe I'll let you guys know, and maybe we could possibly all get together and go check it out and go take it together. A group of us. I mean, I think they'll take up to like 14 people or so. So that would be lots of fun. I would enjoy that. So, okay, now we'll get on from that. I will say I did something else afterwards. Since I shot all that ammo up, I did, 2,000 rounds. I did come home and I did something that I don't know. I told myself I wasn't going to do. One of the places online that I buy ammo came out and they had some overpriced ammo. It was cheaper than what I can get around here, but it was still way overpriced. And I went ahead and bought like 2,000 rounds. So maybe I'm getting worried, I guess. I'm worried that my classes, the students in my classes aren't going to have the ammo that they need. So I went and bought it. I spent entirely way too much on a couple thousand rounds, but it is what it is. It'll come. I'll figure it out. But hey, it's 2,000 more rounds than what I had. I pretty much replaced what I used in the class. So I'm complaining, but I'm not complaining that much. So, I want to talk about some other stuff that's been going on. I think I talked last time about Idaho, or not Idaho, but yeah, it's about Idaho and cities in Idaho creating a Second Amendment sanctuary state. And I notice a lot of the little cities around here are creating, Second Amendment sanctuary cities. And I think that's a fantastic thing. A bunch of little cities around me have. And I even threw out the idea, I think I talked about it in the last podcast, that I was thinking about approaching our city council here in where I live and trying to create a Second Amendment sanctuary. But, I mentioned it, and then I was going out of town like 3 days later. So I didn't get started on it per se, since I was going to be gone. I didn't want to get something rolling and then leave for 5 days. But I'm happy to announce that I came back, and someone else, I don't know the gentleman, I don't even have his name, but he picked up the ball and he's been running with it for the city that I live in. And he is, he is trying to create a sanctuary city in the town that I live in. I think it's absolutely fantastic. On the bigger city that's next to me, Twin Falls, they stated a while back that they did not. Someone tried and they were not going to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want anything. I mean, they decided in like less than 3 minutes that no, we're not going to do this. Well, another gentleman I know, actually a couple people I know, picked up the ball there, and they've created a petition, and they are actually having a rally in a couple weeks, and they are going to they're going forward with this. I think they've introduced some kind of wording and stuff how they want this, and I've actually been invited to introduce the same type of stuff, the same document, write up my version of it, and that'll give them a couple of them to see which one they like the best. So I look forward to doing that. I was actually asked to speak at the rally, which unfortunately I would absolutely love to do, but I'm not going to be able to do because I have my women's classes that I do every Thursday now, since I've got about 35 women, something like that, signed up for these women's groups. And starting actually a couple weeks ago, I am booked up every Thursday night at 6:00 with these women's groups every Thursday night for the rest of the summer through November. So I'm not complaining about that, and I didn't think that I could cancel that and go to this rally. I think it's important, but I've had this scheduled way before the rally was scheduled. I don't want to let these women down. We've had a couple group meets so far, and they have gone absolutely fantastic. The women are excited. They're excited to go and or to come and learn how to shoot, and they're good groups. I really enjoy it, and my wife is actually participating, which that's kind of fun as well. So I'm excited to move forward with that. But as a state, I want to say it was like 2014. As a state, Idaho came up with what they call their, Second Amendment sanctuary proclamation or whatever. But they're doing something else kind of like that, but they're doing something better. What they're doing is they're putting together what they call the Idaho Small Arms Protection App. And what that is there's a lady, a senator, or or whatever, by the name of Christy Zito. She has put this together. What I want to do is I want to go ahead and play a little snippet of it, and then we will dive into that and work out some details and talk about why I think it's a good thing. So here you go.
State Senator Christy Zito is joining us this morning on News Radio 1310, KLIX, and newsradio1310.com. We're at 30, and coming up on, we'll say it's close to 6 minutes after 7 o'clock. Bill Colley is well on Magic Valley this morning, and she's talking with us, primarily, we have a tendency sometimes to veer off into some other issues as well when we're talking. But primarily, one of the reasons she's joining us this morning, this is going to be a lead-in to the gun guys coming up a bit later this morning. She's talking with us about the Second Amendment sanctuary bill that she's been working on for the state of Idaho. First of all, welcome back to the program.
Good morning, Bill Colley. Thank you for having me.
Sure. So what's the status at this point?
Okay, well, I just want to clarify that we call it the Idaho Small Arms Protection Act because Idaho already has sanctuary state in code. So where we are right now is we have an RS, and so now what we are doing is we are looking for a print hearing from, it will go through state affairs. We're going to start it on the Senate side, so that would be Senator Patty Ann Lodge, is who we're going to ask for a hearing on it to get a bill number and then get it through. So that's where we're at as far as that goes. Like I just said, Idaho has a Firearm Freedom Act similar to other states, but our law has proven a little bit insufficient to protect gun owners, as the Ninth Circuit Court has already ruled that some of the provisions of our law violate the Supremacy Clause of the United States Constitution. So what we've done is Alex Kincaid has worked on this, and she's worked on it with several other attorneys from different states. And she has crafted this to protect the owners of small arms in our state. And there's a section in here that actually go on to list some of those, in magazine capacity, silencers, rocket launcher, I believe might be in there. So it's to make it so that, because the question is so the president sends down an executive order. We're confident we're going to see Congress, because of the dynamics and the makeup of it now, they're going to try to come after our firearms even harder than they have before. So how does that get enforced? So we have our sheriffs, we have our local law enforcement, typically, and we even have the Prince versus Mack decision, or not Prince versus Mack, but the Prince Mack versus the United States decision that will help us on this. Our local law enforcement are not beholding to help enforce these federal gun laws. And so what this does is it offers criminal and civil immunity to those elected officials when they don't participate in confiscation or anything like that. And then what it also does is it directs the Attorney General that he will defend our law. And if the Attorney General decides he doesn't want to do that, then the legislature can, by concurrent resolution, choose a member to defend it with standing in the court.
Now, when you say that we have something that is akin to already sanctuary status, the problem with that, though, I would think the way you just described the need for this other bill, is that it's great to say you have it, but it obviously means that you need people who would actually follow it, and that's been the concern. A lot of people talk a good game, but it sounds to me like the other bill or law that's already in place, or resolution, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know the full definition of all of these terms. I'll admit I'm not a legislator, but it sounds to me if you need something more, then that really wasn't enough.
Well, what happens is you can't just go in and say, okay, we're going to declare all federal law null and void, and you can go ahead and do as you please. And so there have been gun owners that have actually gotten themselves in trouble because they interpret it to mean, well, I can build whatever I want, I can have my suppressor and not have to do, as long as I build it and keep it in the state of Idaho. But that's kind of been the problem, and that's not working. So this has been crafted so that it's attempting to declare that federal laws that have been in place since 1934, the old one said that, but this one is not attempting to declare that those laws are null and void. Instead, the new bill specifically protects certain small arms and ammunition and magazines that are essential for self-protection by the people of the state of Idaho. And that's what we're doing with this, is we're saying, these are essential for our defense, and they are protected by the Idaho Constitution and the Second Amendment of our United States Constitution.
Well, there you go. So, I mean, this is what they're calling, I'm going to just repeat myself here. This is what they're calling the Idaho Small Arms Protection Act. And I think it's wonderful. I think what it's going to do is, I'm the first one to say Idaho Second Amendment sanctuaries, right? It depends. And I think Bill repeated it in there as well. It just depends on your local law enforcement, your sheriffs, your police chief, whatever. It depends on your local state representatives. And are they going to stand up? You can make a place a Second Amendment sanctuary, right? But if you don't have local leaders that are willing to stand up, then it's not even worth the paper that it's written on. I mean, it's just not. I always say, one of my favorite phrases is where the rubber meets the road. When the rubber meets the road, we're going to see who's going to stand up for you. But this one actually takes the liability off of them and frees them up a little bit to be able to go out and, possibly shut down the road the feds are coming in. They can say, no, you're not coming in here. We're this sanctuary. We believe in this. We believe in the Constitution, and you should as well, right? Now, if this passes, it has not passed yet, and if this does pass, and those local leaders, those law enforcement guys and everyone else, something happens and they still don't stand up for the Constitution when it's clear that they aren't liable, for doing these things, which should free them up to do so, and they still don't do it, you really know where they stand. You know that they aren't going to back up the Constitution. And that's a good thing. You need to know where your leaders stand. And a lot of these people will get elected, right? They will get elected and they will run on one thing and they can run on one thing. They can get on Facebook and someone can ask them a question and, hey, will you stand up for our gun rights? And they can get up there and they can type up a thing on Facebook. They can do a press briefing and they can say, you dang right I will. I'll be the first one on the front line. I'll be this and that, and I'll do this and I'll uphold them. But when it comes down to and it's time to, and they don't show up, then you know where they stand. This takes the liability off of them. This takes away an excuse. Okay, takes away an excuse that they could possibly use as an out, and I think it's a good thing, and I hope it passes in Idaho. I mean, we'll see. I mean, there's some people in Idaho that I don't necessarily trust up there that might be voting on this, so we will see what happens. And I will definitely let you guys know what happens locally here with my town, the city that I live in, and Twin Falls, the neighboring city. I know they're popping up everywhere. A lot of cities all around me are doing this and are creating these Second Amendment sanctuaries. And I think it's absolutely fantastic. And I think it's a movement that needs to take hold and needs to run across the country. Let's talk about another movement that is actually running across the country, and that is constitutional carry. And there is more and more states that are allowing this, that are signing this into law. And I've got a little news story about one right here of a neighboring state to Idaho, which I think is fantastic. Congratulations, Utah. Let's check it out here.
Here in Utah, Governor Spencer Cox signed 5 more bills into law today. The list includes the controversial concealed carry firearm amendment. That one effectively eliminates the need for people to have a concealed carry permit for guns. Another new law requires the state to remove dead people from the voter registration rolls. Governor Cox has now signed 16 bills into law, with more expected in the coming days.
Gun control advocates say they're concerned with the new law eliminating the need for a concealed carry permit.
We want to know what problem does this solve? Concealed carry permits have worked well in the past. They've helped to make sure that all concealed carriers have some training on the Utah gun laws.
The Gun Violence Prevention Center of Utah says the law takes us in the wrong direction by eliminating training for gun owners. They fear it could also be harmful for police officers who will then encounter more people with those concealed weapons. Lawmakers who...
That's their out. Okay, that's their out. The gun safety places. Well, it's going to make it more harmful for law enforcement. They know the Back the Blue movement. They know all that. And if a law enforcement officer is worth his salt and does his job correctly, he just assumes that there's going to be a firearm, especially in the western states. He is just going to assume that there is a firearm in that vehicle, right? So it doesn't make their jobs any harder. Just they need to be a little more aware in my mind. But and I do have to apologize for that. It's a little bit of audio was kind of messed up there. That was not me. That was the video. That is the only audio that I could find. So I just kind of had to go with it. So let's finish this clip out.
Who passed the bill say making gun owners get permits infringes on their rights. Senator Mike Lee is praising the new gun law. He just tweeted tonight saying, "Well done, Governor Cox, Senator Hinkins, Representative Brooks, and the entire legislature. The ability of Utahns to exercise their constitutional rights and liberties should always be promoted and defended. Your support of the Second Amendment is commendable."
So there you go. So congratulations, Utah, and I hope more states. I think there's a couple more this year that might have jumped on board too. I don't have them in front of me right now, so I don't want to misspeak. But I think that's something that should be happening. And I did read another article. I could not catch the audio, and I wish I could have, because I'm almost thinking about emailing this guy that was in the article. They kind of highlighted in the article and responding to him a little bit. Great guy. He's an instructor, right? And so they went in, this reporter went in and was talking about this guy's concealed carry permit classes. And he said, well, this guy's classes are all full through March, but once this goes into effect, he may be out of a job. And I'm like, and even that guy kind of agreed. He goes, yeah, it'll probably slow down. I'm going to tell you right now that I thought that was going to happen too. I honestly thought that was going to happen. I honestly thought that my classes were going to slow down once we got constitutional carry. They did not. They actually got more busy. I got busier. I filled more classes up. And I think what it boiled down to was they made such a big deal about constitutional carry, and people were afraid that there's going to be a lot of people out there that carry without a permit that maybe shouldn't be carrying. Not that they can't, but maybe that they're going to be unsafe, or maybe they are worried that someone who shouldn't have a firearm is going to carry it, right? And so that makes people that normally wouldn't carry decide that they want to carry to protect themselves, but they're going to do it right. They're going to be responsible. They're going to go take the class even though it's not required. And they're going to learn the laws, and they're going to learn how to handle their firearm. At least that's what I saw here in Idaho. I'm all for constitutional carry. Okay, I agree with it. It is a Second Amendment right. But I do believe as well that, I wish there's a lot of people that go the constitutional carry route that should not. I mean, there's a lot of people that need educated, right? And I said I agree with it, but I really wish that everyone would feel the responsibility to go out and carry responsibly and take a class, okay? I see lots of people running around that I guarantee you haven't taken a class, and the way that they're carrying, the way that they're doing everything is not good. I mean, they're not carrying a gun properly. They're not using a proper holster. They're not safe with it. I guarantee you they don't know the laws, okay? So constitutional carry or not, I just wish everyone would feel the responsibility to take a class. And I actually saw that happen. I wish more would, though, right? But that's just me. You're carrying a firearm around. I feel you need to be proficient with it, as proficient as you possibly can. You need to talk to someone, at the very least. You need to use some good gear, and you need to know how to use it and be safe with. But you also need to know the laws of when and where you can and can't carry the firearm, and what you can and can't do. I have people, and I've repeated this before in my classes. I've had people come in to the class. They hear the law portion of the class, and they like kind of tilt their heads, kind of like that really puzzled look that a dog gives, and they're like, is that really the law? And I'm like, yep, that's just being taught to you by a law enforcement officer right here. Guarantee you that's the law. I didn't know that. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of people that carry that don't know that don't know those things. And you can get jammed up on those. At the very least, if you don't want to go take a concealed carry permit class, which is the one I recommend because you might as well get your permit anyway, right? It's recognized in other states, but at the very least, you get that Idaho law enforcement officer that has to teach Idaho lethal force law as required by the state. You get that, and that is valuable, very valuable. At the very least, go take a private class, learn how your gun functions, learn how it shoots. Ask me questions. I'm not a law enforcement officer. I can answer most of these questions. I've been doing this long enough, and if I struggle with one, I guarantee you while you're sitting right there, I will look it up. I will get a hold of a law enforcement officer, and I will get you an answer 100%. I will do it. I have no problem doing that. If I can't get it right then, I will contact you and give you your answer later on. But it's very vital. Education, man. Education is the key. Just like those people that couldn't understand why I was going all the way to Arizona to take a class. They thought I was teaching the class, and they understood that because I'm an instructor. I honestly wish I was a big enough instructor that I could travel around to other ranges and give classes. But you know what? Even as an instructor, I know the value in education. And you could talk about tools in a toolbox and all that stuff, and that is a good thing. But I know the value of education, and I know that there's different ways to teach things, and there's better ways to do it. And I wanted to improve for myself. I wanted to improve for my students. And if you're going to carry a gun around, you should want to be safer and responsible for other people around you, your family, your wife, your kids, everybody. And I mean, that's just my mindset. That's the way you should be with a firearm. I'm just going to look at the comments here. Okay. We'll take a little break here. Look at the comments. I can't answer everything. I've been responding to the comments on YouTube Live, while I'm playing clips, but I'm looking up here. Yeah, James says, thanks, James. He says, that's because you are an awesome instructor with good promoters. And I do have good promoters. And I do enjoy what I do, and I really appreciate the word of mouth, and I really appreciate everyone that tells people about me and points people my direction. And I hope that I do right by those people. I hope that I've never had students come that were referred by someone come and take a class from me and then leave there and maybe not tell me, but then leave my class and go, that was a waste of time. And I hope that never happens. I strive for that not to happen. So, and then he also says, James says he thinks people should learn how to hit an 8x11 piece of paper at the very least. Yes, I think they should. I think that's the way to do it. You can't just be flailing bullets around again. You are responsible for every round that leaves your gun. There is an attorney attached to every round that leaves your firearm. And we need to be responsible. And we need to put on a good face for gun owners and the Second Amendment. And we do that by educating ourselves and staying safe. Okay, let me see here. What do I got here? Let's move. I got a cue card here. I know you guys are all seeing my cue card, and I'm just kind of looking to see where all my stuff's at. Let me make some changes here. So where are we at here? Locally here, we have had, well, not locally, this is a couple hours away, but down in Idaho Falls, they had a officer-involved shooting, and the officer wasn't shot at, someone else was. We'll play the story, and then we shall discuss it. Let me see. This is the right button. There we go.
There are not words to express how heavy our hearts are today. The situation is devastatingly tragic for all involved.
Monday afternoon, Idaho Falls Police Chief Bryce Johnson held a press conference talking about what led to a deadly officer-involved shooting. At 12:03 in the morning, a Bonneville County Sheriff's deputy pulled a car over near the intersection of First Street and Lincoln Drive. 2 people were in the car. 1 ran off. Idaho Falls Police showed up to help and were able to identify the suspect. They learned he had multiple arrest warrants. The suspect sent his GPS location through his phone to the other person in the car, who then shared it with officers. That led police to surround a home near Tendoy Drive and Syringa Drive.
Officers heard yelling and approached the backyard where they encountered a man wearing a black shirt armed with a firearm. Officers gave instructions for the man to drop the gun. We do not currently have the answers as to what exactly occurred during these moments. We do know that during this interaction, an Idaho Falls police officer discharged his service weapon, firing 1 shot which struck the man. Officers attempted life-saving measures, but they were unsuccessful.
The man died, and police soon discovered it was not the suspect they were looking for. In fact, just moments after the officer fired his gun,
A deputy in the area reported seeing a man running through the area. Officers and deputies tracked this man to a nearby residence where he was found hiding in a shed in the backyard of the residence.
police identified this man as the suspect. He was arrested and booked into the Bonneville County Jail.
I don't have words for it. Same thing with the officers involved. Sometimes everyone does what they think is right, and tragedies happen. So we would ask just a little patience for the investigation to be completed and all the details can come out.
In Idaho Falls, Cade Garner, KPVI, news that works for you.
So there you go. That was pretty self-explanatory as to what happened, but let me break it down. I think it was about 12:30 in the morning. I think they said they pulled a car over. They were starting to pull the car over, and I think the driver pulled over. He jumped and he ran, right? He ran. And they were trying to locate this guy in a neighborhood. It's dark because it's early morning. And they thought they had a GPS location for the guy. I think they did. And the officers were out looking. And they came across, and this was new news to me, actually, because I didn't know that they had actually said anything to this gentleman. So this was new news. So it kind of changes my take on it. But he said they came across this gentleman, somebody, they didn't know who it was, standing in like the backyard or standing in their yard. And he had a firearm, and they told him to drop the gun. And he did not. And then they shot him, and they killed him. Okay. So, and then they eventually caught the other guy, right? It was the wrong guy. So here's a couple different things. There's a couple ways to look at this. So, law enforcement, they tell you to drop your firearm, drop your firearm. If you're in an incident, right, drop your firearm. Do as they say, or they're going to shoot you. They don't know who you are. It's 12:30 in the morning. It's dark. They have no idea who you are. You could say, hey, look, I live here. I'm the home. They have no idea. And if you honestly are the homeowner, set your gun down. Okay. So, and then another question leads me to, why is someone out in the yard at 12 o'clock in the morning with a firearm in their hand? Why is that? Did you hear the sirens? Did you see all the lights? And so you thought you'd go out and try to protect your home? You're legally allowed to do that, I suppose, but I tell you what, don't put yourself into a situation. If there's law enforcement running around and you don't need to be there with your firearm, don't be there with your firearm. I'm not blaming this guy, but somewhere along the lines, and we don't know exactly what happened, they just said more information would come out later on. This guy obviously made some bad decisions, right? And there's a couple ways to look at this. Now, I am interjecting some thoughts into this, and one of my thoughts is, so did that guy, if he lived in that house and he was out there, and the guy that got shot, right? Did he have a family inside that house? Because if he did, and he got his firearm and he went out to try and, be a hero or possibly like protect his family, you left them in the house. You're in the house. It's a secure zone. You know that it's just your family that's in there, maybe your wife, maybe a couple of kids, right? You know that's no one's in there. You haven't heard anyone come in. Why would you leave your house? Don't leave your house. If you want to get your firearm out and be prepared and hold down the fort, that's fine. Do that. But don't step outside with your firearm. That was a bad move. It really was. And I'm not trying to lay blame on anyone. But it was a bad move altogether. And frankly, if that's what happened, if law enforcement encountered this guy and what they said actually happened, and they said, you need to put your gun down, and this guy refused, and he got shot, that's kind of on him to a certain extent, right? I don't know. I don't have all the information, so it's really hard to say one way or another. If law enforcement came around the corner and just saw a guy standing there and shot him, that's different, right? If they didn't say anything, that's different. But I don't know. No one really knows. Hopefully we'll know sooner or later. But interesting case out of Idaho Falls, Idaho. So I'll keep an eye on that, and I'll fill you guys in as that is like breaking news, I'm sure. So I'll fill you guys in on that as we go. Okay, so there is another thing that's going on, and I want to restate what I stated on my last podcast. I talked about how gun rights, shouldn't be a partisan issue, right? I mean, the Second Amendment is for everyone, every person, regardless of who they voted for, regardless of what their political ideology is. Okay. We have to remember that last year, the gun community saw its largest growth ever, with around 7 or 8 million new gun owners that purchased guns for the first time and joined our community, right? Contrary to what anti-gun groups like, you have like Moms Demand, action, that kind of thing, would like you to believe, a large number of those 8 million new gun owners, right? There's a large number of them that they weren't conservatives, right? They weren't. There's a reason why groups like the NRA are hemorrhaging members, okay? And money is not money is not because they're hemorrhaging members and money, and it's not because fewer people are supporting gun rights. It's because the gun community is changing and demands that the market needs to adapt. And I really, for example, I'm talking about this rally that we're going to have locally here, and I'm going to talk about this rally, and I want to point out that this has happened in any gun rally, any gun rights rally. We have to understand that it's not just people on the right that are like their Second Amendment rights, that own guns, that like to shoot. Okay, if you think that, you're living under a freaking rock. I mean, that's just the way it is. There is people on the left. There is people, there's people on the left that voted for Biden that like their Second Amendment rights, but there's some other things that they valued that Biden was going to help with or go after, and so they voted for Biden. There's people on the right, possibly, that like firearms, right? And maybe they voted for Biden. There's people on the left that like firearms and voted for Trump. I mean, you don't know. The guy standing next to you, if he's not a friend of yours, you don't know how he voted. You don't know what he thinks. And you got to understand there's all people from all walks of life that like their Second Amendment, that love and value their gun rights. People on the left, people on the right. You have people in the LGBTQ community. And I mentioned it last time, there's a whole group, there's a whole, like a shooting club, right? Called the Pink Pistols. And people in that community, they love, there's a portion of them that love firearms. Excuse me. But we need to quit saying, if you're not a Republican, if you're not on the right, if you didn't vote for Trump, you must be against gun rights. Because right now we all need to come up. We all need to get together. We all need to, fight this, stand up against this. We all need to stand together. Absolutely. And there's something that happened over I think it was actually the beginning of this week. And I don't know, some people like it, some people don't. I talked about a firearms store, a gun store that pretty much put up a sign that said, if you voted for Biden, you're not welcome here. They can do what they want. It's a private business. And I'm going to read you another thing that happened kind of like that. It happened at the beginning of the week. Let's see, who is it here? I can't even remember the name of the ammunition company now. I'm looking here. Is it here? Is it here? Oh, criminy. Where is it at? Oh, Fenix Ammo. Fenix Ammo, and I actually got this email, but they sent out an email saying, hey, we got some ammo in. Come buy some ammo. We're going to have it. It won't last long. You need to get in here if you want it, right? This article says, Michigan Ammo Company background checks customers by making them sign a form stating they didn't vote for Biden. And it's true. I went on there and I wasn't going to buy ammo from them. I bought my ammo from somewhere else. But I went in there and I acted like I was going to buy something, right? I wanted to see it for myself. And right when you check out at the very bottom, there is, and I've got a picture of it. Maybe I don't. There is a box that said, you had to check to be able to purchase your ammo. And it said, I did not vote for Joe Biden. Sure, someone could lie, right? And they could get their ammo. But the fact that they put that on there, they can do what they want. They're a private business, and it probably won't hurt them much. But that is, I don't know. I don't think it was a good thing. There's lots of articles that absolutely came out and absolutely that were for this, that they enjoyed, that these people, they were happy that this company did that, right? Well, gun owners have been going around for the last month or so talking about cancel culture, right? They're against cancel culture and all this other stuff. Well, here you are canceling out a good portion of Second Amendment people, okay? Gun owners, Second Amendment supporters. We all need to rise up. We need to quit dividing our group. We're going to be stronger in numbers. There was Rob Pincus. I like Rob Pincus, and because he thinks outside of the box a lot of the time, and he takes a lot of heat. And he put up he posted his comments up here. He said he wasn't going to post. He called it a clown show. He says, I wasn't going to post in this clown show moved by a company that probably wouldn't be in business if people weren't desperate for ammo anyhow. He's like, but I'm going to talk about it. He says the idea that all gun owners must be single issue voters and compromise their beliefs on so many other issues in order to be a part of our community is naive at best. Okay. And then there is a group, it must be an Instagram, I'm thinking. It says @Clearing the Chamber. Okay, it must be an Instagram page. They actually posted up something and it said, in no way am I calling anyone to boycott or take away support from Fenix Ammo. I consider them to be a Second Amendment brothers and sisters. That said, I do not agree with or condone this move. Creating more divisiveness is not the answer. Okay, the left wants to divide us. Not even just gun owners. They want to divide us as a country, as a whole, right? They want to divide us with race. They want to divide us with religion. They want to divide us with absolutely everything because they know that separated into small factions, we're nothing. We can't jump up. We can't defend ourselves. We can't come together as one, right? And here we are, gun supporters, gun lovers, Second Amendment supporters, and we're doing this to ourselves. We're doing this to ourselves, okay? It says Fenix Ammo is obviously allowed to make their own business decisions, but this is the equivalent of me refusing to train someone to defend themselves simply because they voted for Biden, and I can't do that because the Second Amendment is for everyone, period. I agree with that statement 100% wholeheartedly. The Second Amendment is for everyone, period. I don't care if you're on the left. I don't care if you're on the right. I don't care if you're LGBTQ. I don't care if you marry a stump. I don't care if your name is Bill and you want me to call you Sally. It does not matter to me, right? And here at Patriot Defense, we're just a small little nothing school. I mean, it is what it is. I'm small. I understand. I enjoy it. I love doing it. I will not turn anyone away. If someone shows up here and they want to learn how to defend themselves, they want to learn how to use a firearm safely, right? I will not refuse to train anyone unless you're just being a jackhole and you're being unsafe on purpose. I don't care. I don't care your gender. I don't care your race, your ethnicity. I don't care if you believe in God, if you don't believe in God. I don't care your religion. I don't care if you're on the left. I don't care if you're on the right. I don't care if you're libertarian. It does not matter to me. You have every right to defend yourself, and you have the Second Amendment right. The Constitution offers that to all of us. It gives it to all of us, and I'm not going to turn you away. And honestly, I think as a community, as a whole, I think we need to come together. We have to. We have to. They're trying to separate us. That's how we do that. And we need to be, that's how they do that, is they separate us. So we can't rise up as a whole, separate us into factions, have a bunch of infighting, and we don't get anywhere. Honestly, I gave a talk at a gun rights rally, or a freedom rally. It wasn't gun rights, it was a freedom rally. I was a Second Amendment speaker, right? And I gave a speech just like this. I said the infighting has to stop. We have to, because if we remain divided, we can't make up any ground. We can't get anywhere. We just can't. That's period. That's just the way that is. So we've got to be inclusive. We've got to include everybody because we just have to. We don't have a choice. And I think that, we need to watch our speech too. I think that instead of saying, classifying everyone who doesn't want the Second Amendment, who doesn't like firearms, I think we need to quit saying, oh, the people on the left, they want to take our guns, because they don't. Some of them do, but not all of them. I think we need to rephrase it as the gun grabbers want to take our firearms. As you can tell, the gun grabbers aren't just on the left, but guess what? they're on the right as well. And there's an article that I didn't print off in here because, frankly, I kind of forgot about it. But look at people on the right. Look at people like Marco Rubio. Okay, check out what he did. He wants your firearms. He wants them to be able to come in and take your personal property and your firearms, just if they think you might be what they're considering a domestic terrorist. You know, what classifies you as a domestic terrorist. But he's on the right. There's plenty of right-wing legislators that want your firearms, okay? So we need to quit saying the people on the left, they want our guns. No. Gun grabbers want your guns. Gun grabbers are on the right. Gun grabbers are on the left. And there's gun grabbers in the LGBTQ community. But there's also Second Amendment supporters on the right, Second Amendment supporters on the left, and Second Amendment supporters in the LGBTQ community. So there you go. I mean, that we need to remember that we need to include everyone. So I'll step down off of my soapbox, and I will say, if you're watching the YouTube live video, I've been watching it a little bit, and I know that it's cut out a few times, and I don't know how that works as far as the live video is concerned. I don't know if that just cuts out and nobody sees it, or I don't know if when this video gets done being processed by YouTube, if you can go back and watch and actually get everything that if it's recording me right now and that whole video I don't know how that works. So there's some cut out. I'm really apologize for that. I can't control some of this Wi-Fi crap. It's worked really good for a few months. So whatever. If you missed it and you do want to hear it, because frankly, I think this was a good podcast tonight. And I think I'm getting a lot better at doing these podcasts by myself. I like the other guys here, but I think I'm getting a lot better at doing them solo, which makes me happy. But if you want to hear the audio, you can find me on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Apple Podcast, whatever. Just go find me. It's on there. It's called the Patriot Defense Podcast, right? If you're listening, you've already found it. But if you're watching this on YouTube and you don't listen to the audio version and you'd like to just have it on your smartphone and listen to it as you drive to work, please don't watch YouTube while you're driving to work. That's not a good thing. But you can listen to the audio version if you download, subscribe, and download the podcast. That'd be great. Share it with your family. Share it with your friends. Once again, if you got any questions or comments or anything, you didn't like it, you don't agree with me, get a hold of me. You can call me. You can text me. I'm really a reachable dude. Yeah, you can get a hold of me any way you want. I don't hide. I'm out here, right? You can call me. You can text me. Area code 620-794-6223. That's area code 620-794-6223. And I will respond. Real quick, though, before we left, I forgot something. In my class, there was a gentleman there with it's Laogo. It's by Laogo Arms. It's an alien gun. It's a Czechoslovakian gun. He showed up with it. It's $5,000 for this gun, right? It's a cool gun. It looks awesome. Thing was choking by the second day in class. $5,000 gun. It was choking. It was choking so bad and malfunctioning so bad that he had to go put it away and get a different gun out to shoot the rest of the class. Meanwhile, Todd over here was running his VP9 the entire time. I cleaned it before the class. I did do that, but ran it the entire time, 2,000 rounds, and it's dirty now. It's really dirty now. Not a hiccup. It didn't malfunction at all. Absolutely nothing. So I did put the new trigger in it. It had the new trigger in it, which was fantastic. I will say the little pin started to work its way out of the trigger. And so someone was looking at the trigger and is that supposed to be like that? No, it's not. Actually, I couldn't find a hammer. I had my gunsmithing punches. So I used a punch and a rock and I smashed that pin back into place and it ran. So I don't blame that on the gun. I blame that on me because I was trying to act like a gunsmith and I probably should never do that. But anyhow, fantastic class. I can't wait to work that stuff that I learned into my other classes. And I'm glad I could come back and report to you guys. And until then, I've got a class coming up this Saturday, and I plan on doing the podcast after the class. And I'm really not too worried about doing it myself anymore. So whether someone's here or not, I'll be on here. I'll throw something together for you. Maybe I'll drag my son out here and you'll see him. I invited him tonight, but he didn't want to hang out with Dad, I guess. But not a big deal. Like and share the podcast, and I will see you guys next week. Thanks. Bye.